So, you know the feeling. It's already 4 days into your vacation, and your shoulders still haven't dropped. You haven't released that tension in your hands, in your arms, from your last meeting. Sleep is an occasional thing, it's a thin thing. You're always semi-alert, one ear up, waiting. You hear the unneeded alarm long before it even starts, watching the clock tick down the minutes until it's due to alert you. And you're already in the first meeting. You're already on the first call. You read every single room before your coat's even off. Nothing is wrong. You're not a worrier. You've not missed anything. You can't find what you're waiting for, and yet here you are still waiting for it. You're not stuck, you're not broken, you're not anxious. You're just aware, on duty. Because nobody told you you could let go. So today, we are going to let go. This is the one for all those people who are steady in a real crisis, who really keep the ship going when everybody else is falling apart. I'm Damian, and welcome to the Somatic frequency. You know, some years ago, it was my delight to work with a young lady. She was called Susie. She was an ER nurse. She'd been an ER nurse for 15 years. And she was the sort of person that you'd really want in that worst night, when things were really going bad. And she used to tell me that she'd come out of work, she'd do the drive home, she'd come in, speak to the kids, spend time with the kids, spend time with her husband, and then be on the sofa and everything's fine. The kids were just playing. The TV was on somewhere in the distance. Yet somewhere, she was still scanning. She was still waiting. Suddenly her daughter would clear her throat, and before she had time to think about it, her hand was already at her forehead. She knew the signs for everything and was very alert to them all the time. She knew it was safe. She knew she was home. Yet something in her body, something in her nervous system just kept responding. That's not anxiety. Anxiety is different. Anxiety is like a fog. It's like not being able to see things clearly because of the stress. This wasn't like that at all. This was like the room being lit with floodlights, with every single detail there in glorious clarity. There was nothing in the shadow, nothing hidden, nothing she wasn't aware of. She saw everything, and that was the problem. The lights weren't broken. They were just still on, still aware. If we go back 15 years to when she first started, and ER, like anything, any industry of this nature, is a very harsh learning ground. Those doors would open, and you did not know what was going to come through. It could be a sprained wrist, or it could be the worst health crisis you could imagine. You had to be prepared for everything. You didn't know what the day would bring. So she created a part of her. There was a part of her that kept that light on, that would notice the things that other people missed. She would be aware of the quiet person in the room, and why were they quiet? What were they doing? She was aware of the smallest symptom, the smallest issue, and she would cope with it before it became a problem. And to see her work, it was magnificent. It really did save lives. Because in that space, in that moment when you don't know what's next going to come around the corner, there's no such thing as being too aware. But there needs to be a time when that shift comes to an end. When you can put it down and say, I can release. I can stop being so aware. Because as with Susie, what happened was her work life drifted into her home life. And there was no dividing line. There was no gap between them. Even on the drive home, she was aware of all the other traffic, of potential problems, potential crisis. And over the course of 15 years, this stacks up, it builds up. It doesn't have one defining moment where suddenly there's a massive issue and suddenly you're alert all the time. It builds up over time, step by step, gradually. So you don't even notice it's happening. It's not a case of being broken or anxious. That's why you're in the job you're in. But after 15 years of no night off, she was exhausted. She was emotionally exhausted. And by that stage, this couldn't stand down on its own. It couldn't just switch off. Because that switching off was never its job. Now, you don't have to be an ER nurse to benefit from this. This is about anybody who is in that position where you had to see it all coming. You have to be prepared for everything that may walk through that door, whatever extent it is, and to be adaptable enough to respond. Because the truth is, you've built the same thing as Susie. And it works. It really does. The trouble is, it's still working all the time. Long after you've left the office, you've just never noticed. This became a part of who you are. So, if it's appropriate to do so, just take a nice deep breath. Letting go, relaxing deeper. And just for a moment, just notice what you're sat on. The chair, the sofa, the floor. Just notice it supporting you, holding your weight. You're not needing to support yourself. That is doing it just for you. Just notice the walls of the room around you. Standing, solid, brown. Notice the floor and how it takes the whole room, supporting it. And perhaps notice the door, doing its job, without needing you. So just go ahead and let them. Let the room hold itself. And just notice, somewhere there, one light coming down lower. Just a little more. That's it. There. Something just eased. A little less tight. Less bright. You didn't drop the watch. You just lowered the lights a little less aware. Now if I told you you were safe, that part of you that was alert, you wouldn't have believed me, and rightly so. Before we got to that stage, you checked it. Like going to the car and checking that your door's locked, the oven's off, before you leave the house. The floor really is holding you. The walls really are standing. And you let yourself feel it, instead of holding it all together, alone. Well, obviously, you did that sitting still, with time to breathe. But in a real evening, after work, letting it ease, trusting it, just to come back instantly. That's the deeper thing, and that's what we'll go through on Sunday. You know, that awareness, that's not paranoia, that's not broken, there's nothing wrong, that's a skill. And it's a rare one. That's why you're so good at the job you do. You can feel a room before anyone speaks. You notice the details that no one else sees. And you can feel it in your body before your mind is even aware it's happening. And in all honesty, that's kept you safe more times than you can count. And you'd never want to let that go. But that part of you just doesn't get the news that it can rest. That tension it's braced for, that eased hours ago. That there is nothing at the door. There's no weight left to take. It never heard it could put it down. Maybe just now you can get a sense of an ordinary evening. Maybe days, maybe weeks ahead from now. And that part of you will still be there. Just resting. The room, the walls, the quiet holding it. And you might still feel it. You might still feel that awareness, but you also might feel something different. Your breath a little slower, the pulse easing, without you even asking. You might notice how the lights seem to be a gentle warmth. You can still see all of it. A room is just a room, though. It's not a perimeter, it's not a limit. It is a room. And when you are out with people or in with people, you will actually be with them. You will actually have the space for them and the mindfulness to be with them in that moment, rather than waiting for the next emergency. And when you're alone, that quiet is just yours. It asks nothing of you, and you ask nothing of it. You can just be and enjoy. And that attention is still there, if you need it. In those moments when you do need it, it's up, it's aware, it's awake, and that's instant, full. But just for now, it can sit down and rest. Easy. You know, that part of you, the one that you just felt relax and ease, that part of you that suddenly went to sleep when the room held it, that was never your enemy. That can be and truly is the most powerful tool you have available to you. Unfortunately, it just gets stuck pointing one way, at an empty door. Now that easing you felt, that relaxing of it, that's the first thing. That's the noise clearing, the static clearing, enough so you can truly feel that change is possible. And that's what this podcast is intended to do. Now, to walk through that door and actually start experiencing the transformation and really turning your relationship with your nervous system into a power tool, I have created the 3-day reset. It's 3 audios for free that are designed to do one thing, and that is start the transformation with your nervous system, to truly turn it into a beautiful relationship, one of a power couple. Three short days, that's it, 3 audios. You can listen to in your own time, in your own way, and it's absolutely free. Follow the link in this show's notes. Add your email, and the first one will land tonight. There's no spam, no upsell. This is about opening a door, about creating an awareness. Because once you see what's on the other side of the door, once you realize the potential in your own body, with that thing that you feel is the enemy, that changes everything. That's the why. The part your careful mind needed first. So, on Sunday, we're going to go deeper into this. We're going to do a full somatic session to really let that part of you rest and stand down. And you know, if any part of this episode has touched you, or maybe there is somebody you know that you think it would benefit, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single episode. But for now, look after yourself, and I look forward to seeing you on Sunday.